Okay. Hey, listen, everyone. I think that he might be on Cabinet's link, so I'm going to make, very quickly, if I can find Graph, I will briefly make Graph the host while I try and join Cabinet's link, because I think he might be in Cabinets. Let me go check. He was in Cabinet's link. Hey, Dr. Martin, can you hear me? Hey, nothing much. I apologize. We are actually on that Student Senate link. I'm going to send it into the chat. Could you just, I'm actually going to leave this meeting. Could you just join that link?
I think that's the one I was sent.
Oh, my apologies.
The audi.ie/SGA Senate?
It's Student Senate.
Oh, Student Senate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you just join that one.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Yes, sir. I'll be there in a second. Didn't you say that in the email?
Yeah, you changed the code because it was SGA Senate the first time, and SGA Senate goes to the cabinet one.
Oh, is that what I did?
But that's okay.
That's the one I sent out to everyone.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's okay.
did I do that?
So,
I didn't think so.
you want to see something?
All right, Dr. Martin, are you here? Oh, he was just. He's not here. I'm so confused. This is the exact link I just sent him that I joined. This is the one we're all on. So I don't know how,
Let's do,
like, how would that?
let's make him a part of my exec reports. So let's let everyone else do exec reports, and I'll make sure that he gets on here in between that time.
Are you sure? Like, you
Yeah.
just want to start?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how is that going to work, though?
Instead of open forum, I'll yield my time.
Okay. Okay. Well, I do apologize. I sent him the same link as we are all on, but in that case, what's going to happen is Tyler is just going to yield his time to Dr. Martin, so we'll hear that presentation in just a little bit. And instead, we are just going to begin, as we always do, with open forum. So, this meeting will now come to order. Would anyone like to use open forum at this time? I see Heather is in the back. You can come up to this microphone. I believe it's on, and I will check.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you all remember me, Heather Mann, she, her. No longer the outreach chair for Spectrum. We had our officer meetings this past week, and I have been replaced. The presidential elections will be coming this week, and so we will have someone who will replace me as president. And for next week's SGA meeting, hopefully I will be introducing the next person who will take my place as Spectrum's president. Speaking of the presidential elections, since that is the only thing we have planned for this week's meeting, we have a lot of opportunities for you all to come and talk with us. Since everything is going to be a relatively short meeting, so I believe we have the listening tour that's coming and speaking with us and asking a few questions. And so if anyone else would like to come and join them, this would probably be the best opportunity for the rest of the semester, since I know that once it gets closer to the end of the year, it's going to get harder and harder for everyone to try and find time to come and visit organizations. But yeah, the Letters to Legislators initiative has been going well. The first week we tried to do it, we got canceled on the concourse due to severe weather. But hopefully all the weather will be nice and sunny for the rest of our concourse days. If you would like to write a letter to the legislators or learn more about the bills that we are writing in response to, you are more than welcome to come see us out on the concourse every Wednesday and Friday until the end of the semester, or attend any of our meetings, as I will still be bringing the information to all of our meetings. But so far we have a good handful of people writing letters to their state legislators, either for here in Lee County or finding the ones for their home counties. And it's been a decent response so far, and I'm very proud of the way that Auburn has been reacting to these bills in the legislature. That is all I had, and despite the fact that I am no longer an officer, I will still make an effort to come to all these meetings, so don't forget about me just yet. Good evening.
All right, thank you. We will now move into roll call. So if you are not already on the Zoom, please join so that Jet can check your attendance. From now, while we are still waiting on Dr. Martin, I do apologize for that, we're going to move into executive reports. And so we will begin with Mr. Rhett Wagner.
My bad, guys. I went to the wrong microphone, but I wanted to go ahead and, in my report this week, kind of give you all a summary of the meetings I do like each week and everything. I realized I'd never really done that for Senate. But first off, my weekly meetings are President's Cabinet, which is Monday and Thursday at 9. And that's kind of with administrators from across Auburn. And then the Presidential Task Force on Opportunity and Equity happens on Thursday from 3:30 to 5. And another one for each week is the dining assessment, where we meet with the dining team to discuss kind of what's been going on that week. That happens on Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. And then the last thing that happens every week, or at least every other week, is one-on-ones with all the members of exec. And then monthly meetings are one-on-one with Dr. Gouge and Dr. Woodard, happens once a month with each of them. And then other than that, each month I do a faculty senate meeting, which is just like this, but comprised of faculty members. And then every 3 months, there's a Board of Trustees meeting, and the next one of those will happen on April 15th and 16th. And I can send these out to y'all or get them to Cole to send out. But the reason I'm telling y'all about these is for my reports, I want to do it more of like a what did I talk about this week in those meetings type structure. And so that being said, I'm coming to these meetings to tell y'all about those, so y'all can kind of give me feedback on stuff, and that way it'll be an easier way to just keep transparent and like clear communication going with Senate, and I'm doing the same thing with Cabinet. But just as an example of kind of what I might come in with, I'll give y'all a report on what happened today at President's Cabinet. So the first thing that happened was Dr. Hargrave just reminded everybody that we only have 3 weeks left of class and 1 week left of finals. And so I know that's a simple one. We had a relatively simple week, but it'll be more exciting in the future, I promise. Another thing that happened is we discussed the announcement from Governor Ivey regarding the change in Alabama's COVID policy. That'll probably happen on April 9th. And we expect, the word on the street is that masks will not be required in the state of Alabama anymore. We expect Auburn to kind of uphold a few more regulations than Kay Ivey announces for the rest of the semester. And then a more fun update, Athletic Director Green talked today about the hiring of our new women's basketball head coach, Johnny Harris. And so that's kind of some of the stuff that happens at President's Cabinet, and I'll be continuing to give y'all updates as we go. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Mr. Ward, if you'd like to yield your time.
Hey guys, oh my gosh, this thing is loud. Okay, just want to apologize for the confusion and introduce our next speaker. So what happened was I emailed him a link that said SGA Senate with the link y'all are using as Student Senate, and so he was in a different waiting room. He's here now, super glad that he was able to join us. So he is here on behalf of the Teaching Effectiveness Committee, and he's going to talk a little bit about what that means. But basically, he is a professor here, and what they're trying to do is make sure that whenever we go into just giving feedback on our professors, whenever y'all get that link at the end of the year, that we're using that effectively. Kind of like what I mentioned at Cabinet today, Rate My Professor is something that a lot of people use, but that doesn't really go into the teachers and the deans and different things like that. And so he's going to give you more insight as to why this platform is better. So I'm going to yield my time to Dr. Martin now.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I apologize for being a little informal, but I've got 2-year-old twins and a 7-year-old at home. So I came home after work and I've been making dinner and doing all that. So I'm wearing my Auburn AU Brew swag, and so I apologize. Like I said, I'm an associate professor in the hospitality management program here at Auburn. All three of my degrees are from Auburn, but I'm also chair of the Teaching Effectiveness Committee. And what I wanted to talk to you about as representatives of the student body are what we call student evaluations of teaching. And those are those surveys you fill out about professors and about your experience within the classroom towards the end of every semester. We've made quite a few changes to how student evaluations of teaching are going to be used moving forward via the faculty handbook. And this was done collaboratively, not only with representation from every college on campus, but also representation from the Student Government Association as well. And one of the big things we want to work with SGA on is trying to drive participation from the student body in those evaluations. When I came to Auburn in 2010, or back to Auburn, SETs were done via paper. So at the beginning of a class, another faculty member would come in and hand out those evaluations, and everybody sitting in the classroom would fill those out right then. So the advantage to that is that we had almost a 97% participation rate from the student body. So that means that every semester, every year, we were getting the vast majority of respondents when it came to those student evaluations of teaching. Since we've gone to electronic format, and it does have advantages in terms of compiling stats and running statistics and all of that, we're actually below 30%. We're averaging below 30% participation. And as you can imagine, for a faculty member or a department head, when evaluating a faculty member, it becomes very difficult to be able to make changes that actually mean anything if we don't have enough data to make those decisions based off of. And so that's really important. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to the SGA about and see if I can get help with that is encouraging participation on those evaluations of teaching, because that data is used. Every faculty member on campus that teaches a class, whether they're a lecturer, a full professor, an associate professor, or a brand new professor, that information is compiled at the end of every year, and we have an evaluation that we go through with our department head, and then potentially also the dean of every college has access to that information as well. So it is not a black hole in terms of what happens to that information. But in addition to participation, what I think is also really important is providing constructive feedback, right? So let's say you take one of my classes and you give me all ones out of 5, one being the worst, or 6, whatever the scale is, and you write, Dr. Martin's a terrible professor, and that's all the feedback you provide. Now you might be right, I might not be a very good professor, but if I don't get constructive feedback, there's no way for me to get better, and there's no recommendations that my department head can make to me to help me do a better job teaching, right? So participation is important, and it's really key, but also the type of information that's being provided on those evaluations of teaching is also just as critical. And so as opposed to just saying, Dr. Martin's a bad professor, if the comment was the material...
It's great to be in a room with people. I've missed this. I know y'all have been able to gather a couple of times already this semester, but that's been the thing this last year that's been missing for me, is that connection with people, and I really miss seeing people without masks on. So I'm looking forward to the day that we get to take these things off and actually see each other's faces and smiles. But anyway, really, really glad to be here. Tonight, I have with me, my family is here. So my husband, Chris, is here, and he graduated from Auburn in 1991 with a degree in finance. And then also our 2 sons, Andrew and Ben, are also with me. Andrew, is finishing up his freshman year here at Auburn, and his brother Ben will be joining him in the fall. So we are 100% an all Auburn family. Also with us tonight are my husband's parents, Joel and Bonnie Cornett, and it means so much to me that both of y'all are here in support. Okay, so finally, before I start my speech, I would also like to recognize a friend and colleague of mine who was named the final lecture award winner last year, and like all things in 2020, that did not happen. So Mr. Bob Cochran and his wife Karen are here tonight in the back. Bob, you want to stand up? Bob teaches in the School of Accountancy along with me, and I know that both the School of Accountancy and the Harvard College of Business is probably pretty proud to have two award winners 2 years in a row that are here. But Bob does a great job, and if you haven't taken business law from him, you need to do so, okay? My recommendation. Okay, as I was thinking tonight about what in the world I was going to talk about, spent quite a bit of time thinking about it, and what I kept returning to was this idea that, or this sense that I have, that I never in all my years of teaching have seen the student body under the tremendous amount of pressure and stress and anxiety than what we have right now. It's been a hard year, right? Being in school and the academic work in the middle of a pandemic is very hard. It's hard not just on students, but it's hard on teachers too. But I think in light of where we are this year, I felt like the best thing to do would be to offer some hope and encouragement, and maybe just maybe a little bit of encouragement to finish the semester strong. So that's what I hope to do tonight. So I teach accounting, not one of the most favorite subjects for people, think about or to want to take, but I like it. And accounting, I get really excited about accounting. And don't worry, I'm not going to bore you and make this about accounting tonight. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of why it is that I love accounting so much. And I think it is because accounting really appreciates truth and puts a value, a premium on truth, that truth is important. In fact, everything that we do in financial accounting is all aimed at making sure we capture exactly the realistic thing, a faithful representative of the actions or activities of a company for a time period, so that those financial statements really represent a body of truth that tell the story about what happened during that time period. And so there's this connection of truthful information to usefulness that I think is really key there. In other words, if you aren't dealing with true information, it's really hard to make good decisions, okay? And that's really what I want to talk about tonight, is how important truth is, in that it influences our perspective in the way that we see the world, and the way that we see each other, and the way that we see ourselves. So very quickly, I'm going to talk about two truths, and neither of these truths are going to be foreign to you. You will have heard them before. But I think it's important to stop and ponder these truths and think about them, and then take a look at what that means for us moving forward. Okay, so the first truth that I have, the world is not perfect. Thank you, Captain Obvious, right? We live in an imperfect world, and things are not the way that they're supposed to be. And this has almost universal agreement among all peoples, from all times, from all cultures, that there's something broken about the world that isn't quite right, and we want to do what we can to fix it, right? And the whole history of human effort has been aimed toward that end of making the world a better place. And that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. As we think about the imperfections in the world, we don't have to go far to find proof about the things that are wrong, because even when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, we still have things like pain and sickness and death and injustice and oppression all around us that definitely confirm the fact that this world is not the way it's supposed to be. So that's the first point. The second point is that human life has ultimate meaning and value. And I think on some level, all of us say, yes, humans are good and they're worth a lot. And if we want to use the MasterCard advertisement, they're priceless, right? The value of a human life is priceless. I think sometimes we fail maybe to apply that to ourselves and to the people around us. So a lot of this is coming from my own personal belief in a creator God that made man in his image and called him the crown of creation. And I know not everybody buys into that. But even if you don't, if you're sitting here tonight and you don't buy into that, there's still something special, something attractive, something meaningful about seeing human life is really precious. So, if you are making a complete train wreck out of your studies this semester, this is not a statement about your value or worth as a person. That's the first thing. Now, I know we live in an academic environment and grades do need to be assigned, and those grades are not an assessment of your value. They're just an assessment of the things that you've learned in your courses. So it is not the worst thing in the world, I might get in trouble for saying this, but it's not the worst thing in the world for you to fail an exam or to even fail a course. It doesn't take away your personal, individual value. And I can tell you from all the conversations that I've had with Auburn faculty over the last year, there's two things that concern faculty as a group, and they're both about students and their well-being. The first one is that we worry for safety, right? We want our students to be safe. We want us to be safe too, but we want our students, we want our community to be safe. And the second thing is that your faculty really do care about you and your well-being at Auburn. Auburn's a special place. It really is. And I know it may not always seem like your faculty care about you, especially if you interact with them too much by email, right? You might get some pushback or be like, I'm not sure that they think I'm a very valuable person. But I can tell you that deep down your faculty at Auburn care about you, and I want you to hear that. So your performance this semester is not a measure of who you are or your worth, and that's important to remember. I mean, surely if we can get this down for ourselves, what that means for us is that when we do fail, the way that we talk to ourselves about that failure or about missing the mark is a little bit different, right? If our identity is in the fact that we belong in this category called human, and that's what makes us important and valuable, then when we fail, we have permission to give ourselves a little bit of mercy and grace, right? That we have permission to forgive ourselves because humans make mistakes. I don't know about you, I make a lot of them, right? So seeing our ultimate worth and our humanness, I think, is really important, not just in the way that we see ourselves, but it's also in the way that we interact with other people. And this is the one that tends to be a little bit harder, maybe for me, maybe for you. If I'm going to err on the side of being gracious and merciful, it's probably going to be to myself. I may not have as easy of a time applying that to the irritating individual who I don't like or who really drives me bananas, right? And I think this past year, what we've seen play out, we live in a divided culture, right? Everything is polarized. There's a line down the middle of every issue, and you have to be on it, right? And I think what we have from this past year is a lot of examples in our society of humans behaving badly, not being kind to one another, right? There's a way to value a person and their life and yet still hold a different opinion and treat them with dignity and respect. And I think that's where we need to be. That's where I want to encourage y'all to be. I think if we can do that, it can really go back to point one and do something about the world not being perfect. I think if we can actually grasp the value of our humanness and then be able to value other people around us, I think it changes the way we talk to one another. And I think that that could be really neat. I'd love to see that take hold and happen here at Auburn. I did not attend Auburn, but I feel like I did. I feel like I'm part of the Auburn family. Two favorite things about Auburn are the Auburn family and the Auburn Creed. I love the Auburn Creed. I feel like the Creed really does embody this business of affirming the individual and loving your neighbor. And so tonight I want to leave you with one last quote, my favorite line from the Creed. I believe in my country because it's a land of freedom and because it's my own home, and that I can best serve my country by doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with my God. Y'all, if we can do that, it's going to make the world a better place. Thank you.
Well, there we go. I think I would like one more round of applause because that was absolutely phenomenal. I very much appreciated that. Jet, if you'd like to make your way on up now. Thank you so much. All right. With that being said, I'm not going to hit that actually, because if everyone could now join the Zoom link that I did send during that presentation, we are going to receive a few words from Professor Martin, Dr. Martin. Thank you all for coming so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Professor Cornett, once again. I do not think I'm the host. I think oh no, I am the host. Okay, never mind. All right, Dr. Martin will be joining actually promptly at 8 p.m. So, I could tell a story. Bathroom, you know what? Yeah, we can take a recess. Dang, I had
Initiatives, Jonathan Hand, Director of Organizational Seating Program, Draper Watson, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Kate Ramsbacher, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Wynn Jones, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Kaylee Phillips, Director of Campus Dining, Jake Rosdick, Director of Campus Dining, Emily Bruderer, Director of Health and Wellness, Bryce Bernard, Assistant Director of Health and Wellness, Taylor Godwin, Director of University Housing, Meredith Forrester, Director of Facility Projects, Tucker Brandt, Director of Information Technology, Michael Linden, Director of Parking and Transportation, Kyle Fuller, Director of Parking and Transportation, Matt Wilson, Director of Safety Initiatives, Anna Lingold, Director of Sustainability, Anna Coker, Director of City Relations, Olivia Sutherland, Assistant Director of City Relations, Whitney Strong, Director of Civic Engagement, Sam Stokely, Director of Civic Engagement, Gwen Charles, Director of Governmental Relations, Cole Stacy, Assistant Director of Governmental Relations, Megan Watkins, Director of Auburn Answers, Chloe Grace Cochran, Director of Auburn Answers, Jake Frasinelli, Director of Research and Assessment, Graham Sansom, Director of Research and Assessment, Owen Kilpatrick, Director of Research and Assessment, Eliza Crodell, Director of Heyday, Creed Day, and Fall Feast, Jackson Smith, Assistant Director of Heyday, Creed Day, and Fall Feast, Charlie Fleur, Assistant Director of Heyday, Creed Day, and Fall Feast. Madison Allen, Assistant Director of Heyday, Creed Day, and Fall Feast. Courtney Cooner, Assistant Director of Heyday, Creed Day, and Fall Feast. Annie Skinecki, Director of Outreach Projects. Catherine Downs, Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Outreach. Lauren Lindsay, Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Projects. Emma Warner, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Projects. That is all of them.
Thank you, Graf.
So once again, as you can see, there are a lot of names, a lot of amazing individuals that are all about to join Cabinet. They had their first meeting tonight, so please just go through and make sure whenever you get the roster that all of them are right. Also, please take note of any of the directors and assistant directors and assistant vice presidents that may have a position that relates to something you are doing in Senate. Anything that you're about to start, I would highly suggest reaching out to them first and say, hey, do y'all have any information on this? Have y'all started something similar to this? Are y'all doing something with this? That way we're not working double, and that way they might say, that sounds awesome, let's help, and then we have more hands helping out, and we can get more done, because who doesn't want to get more done?
Great point, Graf. From there, I believe there is another future order, PSSB 2104-1205, presented and written by Graf Sullivan.
I ask for approval of the following: Alicia Okewi, Graduate Schools Council President; Chindima Odili, Graduate Schools Council Vice President; and Elizabeth DeVore, Graduate School Senator. Once again, this is the confirmation of all three of the historically elected positions within SGA in the grad school. We're looking forward to having Elizabeth DeVore join Senate tonight. She is on the Zoom right now. Unfortunately, that does call for the retirement of Mr. Brian Barretine, but Elizabeth, you've got some big shoes to fill, but we look forward to getting to work with you in the future.
Thank you, Graf. And that concludes our future orders for the evening. I would also like to make a point to say, Megan, you're all good. We actually can't amend future orders, but we can amend it once it's a future order. So a current order. So no worries there. With that, we'll move into announcements. I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen Pearson in a very long time. I do not know if he has a presentation. Jamie, do you have a presentation?
I did, but I'm up here, so I'll just say hey, and I'll present next week. Pearson is not here tonight. He doesn't have any announcements. But like always, let us know how we can be supporting you. You know how to reach us. And I'll see you guys for a New Year's meeting.
Thank you. I felt like that was a play, a little bit, right? Like Romeo and Juliet. All right, my announcements. I like you guys so much. You're all so cool. And I'm thankful for you each week. On the executive officers report our side, we are right now working diligently to finalize our executive goals. We actually came up with a pretty good list, and we're nearing the end. Rhett met with Brad Smith and Pearson in a 2-on-1 and went really in depth to them. And so, of course, Riley did present us with a new potential addition to our executive orders with the period product initiative. And so we're just right now in the process of really trying to make sure that we have these we have these executive goals down so concretely. And of course, when we do have those, I'm going to give you all a long presentation on them. Not too long, but I just want you to be fully aware of what we're trying to accomplish as a unit of SGA this year. I had a good Easter. I hope you all did too. A wonderful weekend. I'm excited to go watch what I can of the championship after this. I'm excited to eat dinner. And I'm always excited to see your beautiful faces every single week, and I really do mean that. And please, I always say, like, reach out to me if you ever need anything. Very few of you do. It bums me out. But you can hit up my line whenever you'd like. So with that, oh my goodness, and I will use the end of my time of my announcement to yield it to Mr. Locke, one of our chaplains, to give a few words of wisdom.
Y'all thought y'all can get rid of me? So just filling y'all in on kind of like how this is going to work. Me and John David met at the beginning or the end of last week, and so we're pretty much going to alternate for the rest of the semester. When we get back in the fall, we'll kind of revisit it. But it'll kind of work like that. We'll just alternate back and forth, and we'll each have a little spiel. I won't keep y'all long. My thing for this week is I think a lot of senators, especially the newer senators, are getting to the point in the semester where you're kind of realizing Rome wasn't built in a day. You're realizing that maybe you can't change the light of Auburn's campus. You can't make the biggest projects happen within 2 to 3 weeks. It takes time. You're here to play the long game. And so with that, I just want to remind y'all that, Senate, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so don't be the senator that never comes up to the mic, never speaks up. You don't talk in committee meetings. You don't gather feedback. But then at the end of Senate, you're the first to take a picture, and then you're on our way. Make sure you're getting out of it what you get out of it, like I said, you get out of it what you put into it. And just a reminder that, the students aren't going to come to you. You have to go to them. The vast majority of the student body doesn't really know how SGA works. So just remember that those trans students that Heather was talking about, those LGBTQ plus students, those students of color, those low income students, they're all your constituents too. Make sure you're going to them and representing them in everything that you're doing in your time in SGA and Senate. And kind of like what I was talking about earlier, whether you're playing the long game, to quote Hamilton, if we have any musical nerds, you kind of, with SGA, a lot of the work you're doing, you're kind of planting seeds in a garden that you'll never get to see. That's a good analogy that I like to use. And so with that, like a good example of that is my freshman year, Mary Margaret's term, we finally implemented the sexual assault nurse examiner program in the med clinic. And that was a project that had been worked on like 5 terms prior, and then it finally got implemented. So you're going to find this year that there's a lot of projects like that that we're building on the work of many past administrations in SGA, and all of that work is very important. So make sure you're not doing things, for the credit of it before the fact that you get to serve the student body and make an impact on them. So that's all I got. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Senator Locke. As I wrap up, because I'm still not done yet, I'm going to take a selfie. I thought about that. All right. Everyone smile. Yeah, I'll work on that next week. Should I go stand up there? Okay.
Here, I'm just going to take a video. Why don't we get Jamie to take it from up top? Oh, yeah, Jamie. Could you just take a photo? Heather, come on in here. Heather, come on in. Heather, go on. She stays every time.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you much.
Selfie, Jamie.
What?
Selfie. Okay, you gotta get in.
Okay.
You gotta get in.
It's not. Wait, hang on. Hang on.
It's hard. Don't fall either.
Whoa! Amazing!
Reese's phone does the zoom out quality. Oh, I can fit everyone. 3, 2, 1. I have to bang the gavel. With that being taken, this meeting is adjourned. Be smart, be safe, and above all, be kind.
I move to suspend the rules of order and visit agenda item titled Reading and Approval of the Minutes.
Thank you so much. I second as well. Are there any corrections to be made to these minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are read and approved as written. Thank you, Graf.
That's it for me. Thanks.
All right, all right. We will now move into our liaison reports. Just for preface, you have heard both Luke Owens from the Honors College as well as Donovan Evans for BSU in their presentations. And this evening, after hearing both of their reports, we will hear Miss Leah Stewart's confirmation presentation for the Student Veteran Association. So we will begin with Mr. Luke Evans from the Honors College.
Owens, Honors Congress Liaison. So we are proud to announce that we have added 2 special committees. The first is a Diversity and Inclusion Committee, in which we will collaborate with our fellow Diversity in Honors organization. The second one is we have added a Mental Health and Wellness Committee, in which we will address those specific issues. We have excitingly had our first philanthropy meeting today. And lastly, we are also pumped to host our first in-person meeting this Wednesday behind Cater Hall at 7 p.m. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. We will now move into our presentation from Mr. Donovan Evans with BSU. Report, I should say.
Evans, BSU. All right, although I do not have a presentation, I do not have much. Last week I touched on, I made a Dropbox for BSU, any problems they may have. I haven't got any feedback this week, but it's towards the end of the year, so I'm kind of lenient on that. I expect it to be a great tool next semester. So yeah, that's all on that.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. And finally, Ms. Stewart, if you would like to come up here. She actually does not have a PowerPoint for us, but she just has an oral presentation.
trying to take
It's tricky. There you go.
There we go. Can I stand up there?
You are more than welcome to stand
Okay.
wherever you would like.
I feel weird with my back to y'all, you know. So as he just explained, I do not have a PowerPoint. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm a little nervous. My throat's dry. So the reason why I opted out of a PowerPoint is because, you know, after being in the military for 5 years and being talked at for 5 years with PowerPoints, we actually came up with a phrase called death by PowerPoint. So I have opted out of that and just decided that I'm just going to talk to you guys about my organization, who I'm representing, what we do, and why I'm here. So, without further ado, for those of you who may or may not know me, I am Leah Stewart. I am the official SGA liaison for the Auburn Student Veterans Association. So I'm going to start off by telling you guys what our mission is. So our overall mission is to help student veterans and their dependents connect with one another on campus, to share information regarding veteran resources, and to create a culture within the local community that supports veteran academic success. How do we carry out this mission? We carry it out by providing resources such as free printing, we have a textbook library within the Veterans Resource Center at Foy Hall, so students can save money on books. And we also have supplemental resources. I've seen like biochemistry for dummies and all kinds of stuff back there. We also, in some cases, we provide technology to veterans who cannot afford laptops, tablets, things of that nature. I can speak from personal experience on that one. We use programs programs such as like the Veteran Gala and Rucksacks to Backpacks, which emphasizes that technology program that provides like school supplies for veterans as a way to provide these resources and to make sure that everybody is successful in whatever they do. We currently have 58 active members. However, our resources are accessible to both veterans and dependents. It doesn't matter whether or not they're a member of our organization. Our organizational structure consists of 5 executive officers and 5 appointed officer positions. So executive officers, your standard president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and we have a philanthropy director. And then our appointed officer positions include myself. We have an ROTC liaison, a media director, webmaster, and an inclusion liaison. Inclusion liaison. And we also have some committee chairs for certain events. So we do have somebody that's delegated to handle anything regarding our Iron Ruck March that comes up every year, and our gala as well. So what are some accomplishments that we've done so far as an organization? We have a program called AWOL, and to put it simply, it's similar to SOS, but it's a smaller environment for veterans who are brand new to campus, who are transitioning from active duty service to student life. And we pretty much do the same things that SOS does. We give them a tour of the campus. We give them advice, provide support. But one of the things that SOS doesn't do, as far as I know that we do, is we have them print off their schedules and we actually take them to their classes and show them where to go. So that way it's not overwhelming when they first arrive on campus. We also were the Student Organization of the Year in 2019. And one of our biggest and proudest achievements is Operation Iron Ruck. We've been doing that for about 3 years now, and basically we've partnered with University of Alabama's Veterans Resource Center, and we get together in teams and we do a ruck march, which is basically like a really long walk from Jordan Air Stadium to Tuscaloosa and back. Yeah. We do it effectively and safely. But each year we alternate on our starting point and end point. So for example, this year it will be at Jordan Air. So we will start in Tuscaloosa, and then we will walk from Tuscaloosa with the game ball and bring it into Jordan Air Stadium. And this event is basically to bring awareness of veteran suicide. and our proceeds for that program go to Mission 22, which brings more awareness to that. And one of the reasons we're proud of it is because, you know, we've been bringing more awareness, so much so that we've gotten local and national interviews for it to promote the event. Hold on, y'all, my thing locked. Hold on, let me. Okay. All right, so some of y'all might be thinking, why is she here? They seem to be doing all right. What is Leah here for? So my job, I'm sure you guys have heard of the term, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? Okay, I'm that mouth. I'm basically the mouthpiece that maintains a line of communication between our organization and you guys to bring any feedback, any concerns that our organization may have, to partner with other colleges, and we also work on the relationships between us and the student body, so that we can grow and establish a more meaningful and reciprocal relationship. So what are some barriers that we may deal with? So as I've said before, we deal with both veterans and dependents. And most of our dependents, pretty much all of them, are traditional students. They come in fresh out of high school, 18 years old, they blend in with their students and all that stuff. You don't have to worry about them having a lot of issues with blending in with their classmates. However, most of our veterans, like myself, are non-traditional students. So we've already been out in the world for a few years. Take myself as an example. I started here at Auburn in 2019. I graduated in 2013, joined the Army straight out of high school. And so most of my graduated student classmates had already graduated college when I was starting college. And the downside with that is my age coming out, y'all. I hadn't taken a biology class since 2009. So best believe when I started Principles of Biology, I was on the struggle bus. So that being said, that age gap, that mindset that most non-traditional students / veterans deal with, first of all, we stick out. We don't blend in very well. And then the other thing is sometimes we may not have access to all of the resources that students have. And I say that because you have some students who have, veterans who have families, who have kids, so they can't always use the resources that all students have throughout the day because, you know, they're getting to it at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So what do I want to do to fix that? One of the things that I would like to do is to provide some flexible tutoring hours. And one of the options for that is our Veterans Resource Center offers to pay students who maybe feel called or led to tutor students, or student veterans more specifically, utilizing those flexible hours. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm like losing my train of thought. One of the other barriers that we have is, as far as amenities go, is the student health clinic. So, as I said, dependents, they have TRICARE. So TRICARE is easily accessible throughout the student health care clinic. However, our veterans who are utilizing VA health care, their insurance is not covered in the AU Health Clinic. So if you have a veteran who gets sick in class or something like that, they have to make some phone calls and figure out who they can go to get medical attention instead of just going to the student health clinic. So some of the goals that we would like to do and that I would like to do in partnering with you guys is obviously getting that up in the air and getting that attended so that veterans can utilize the healthcare clinic. We want to continue to be more inclusive of all students, which is again why we opened it up so that any student can join our organization. We want to continue to work with University of Alabama to continue to bring awareness to veteran suicide through Operation Iron Ruck. We definitely want to get some more supporters. More supporters means it becomes a bigger event. The bigger it gets, the higher likelihood we have of eliminating veteran suicide. And then we would also like to continue to raise funds for our Rucksacks to Backpacks program to provide more necessities for those in need of it. I have 2 ways of gathering feedback. I attend 2 meetings each month. First meeting is the executive officers meeting. I gather feedback from my president, my vice president, my secretary, see if any of them have any ideas, anything that they want to bring to my attention. And then I attend the monthly organization meeting, and I basically say the same thing, ask them to give me any feedback if they have any ideas, and they provide me with such. And as far as collaborations go, listen, I would love to collaborate with any of you guys. If you guys have any ideas that you think would benefit our organization, whether it be dependents or veterans alike, please do not hesitate to email me, text me, call me, however you prefer your method of communication, group me. One of the things that I kind of want to zero in on, I'm not 100% sure which school it is. I'm pretty sure it's a school of business. They have an academic advisor that specifically caters to transitioning veterans that are coming off of active duty into a school environment. And I think that that's so beneficial because somebody like myself, I didn't know, we were only allowed to take a couple of classes at a time. I went from having 6 hours to 12. So I didn't know what I was doing. And I assumed that whatever was given to me was what it was. And I think that it would have been more beneficial, not just for myself, but for other veterans who go through COSAM, who go through liberal arts, who go through any other colleges. It would be beneficial for them to have an academic advisor that understands what they're going through and can give the appropriate advice. And that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I hope I didn't talk your ears off.
Thank you, Leah. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I'm going to say something that I do not feel like I have yet that I should have, and is thank you for your service and dedication to this country, and thank you for coming here every evening. I know I greatly appreciate it, and everyone in this room does as well. That was a very good presentation. Thank you. With that, we have concluded our liaison reports, and we will now move into current orders of business. Oh, what's that? Oh, freshman committee. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to lie. Dr. Martin's presentation took my brain and went, phew. So yes, please come up, Megan. I'm sorry.
Can I take the microphone off?
You are more than welcome to.
Watkins Freshman Committee. Sorry, y'all. Just like Miss Stewart, I cannot stand with my back to y'all. So I just really wanted to commend her on her presentation to start. I am a dependent. My mother served in the Air Force, so there was a lot she talked about that I really just identified with in those challenges. So if we could just give her another round of snaps for such an amazing presentation. Yes. So for Freshman Committee, let me tell y'all what's going on. So last week, I think it was last week, we finished up our presentation, and now we are meeting with administrators and compiling data. So although we are nearing the end of the semester, there is a team that is actively talking to admin. I actually sent out those emails, and we have been coordinating meetings. So there is actual change coming from that. And personally, I found that really exciting. It's always one thing to collect feedback, but to actually be able to talk to administration is an amazing thing. Another thing I just wanted to mention is Jordan Fluker came up earlier, who's the AVP of Feedback and Assessment, and I serve under him in Cabinet as a Director of Auburn Answers. And I know someone's thinking, Megan, what does this have to do with freshmen? Well, I really just wanted to take this moment to say this. Y'all collect a lot of feedback, and it's amazing. I am a nerd for data, but what I really wanted to reiterate is please fill out those research and assessment forms, because the robust data you are collecting now and the programs you are building off of it aren't just serving freshmen now, they're serving the incoming freshmen. And so a lot of people in freshman committee are at this point where we're still freshmen, but we're also transitioning into being upperclassmen. So there's this responsibility to leave Auburn and to leave our mentorships better than how we found it. And a mentor told me that last semester, saying, wherever you go in, come out leaving something better than you found it. So whether that's setting the framework through good data and good programs, I really, really encourage you to do that. So I actually had a senator come up to me earlier tonight and say, hey, Megan, can I get the data for mental health from freshman forum? I was like, heck yeah, I'll give it to you. You know, email me, text me, talk to me. Talk to someone who has my number or my email. I am more than happy to talk to y'all, but I really just wanted to reiterate that because the freshmen who are coming in are not like any class we've seen before. You know, I graduated in 2020, I was the COVID class, but the incoming one, they spent their junior and senior year online, virtually. So their needs are going to be completely different. So it is going to be a challenge for both cabinet and Senate alike to figure out what needs to change and what can we do to support them in their transition into college, especially because we don't know what this next semester looks like. We hope it's going to be in person, but you know, going through a pandemic, let me tell y'all, I realize you can't predict anything. So really, I just wanted to finish out with that. So please reach out to me, reach out to Jordan, and make sure that data you're collecting is also coming from a diverse pool of people. So not just your friends, not just the people you know. Like if you need to go to someone in the Chick-fil-A line and be like, hey, fill out this survey, and they look at you and they're kind of annoyed, it's okay. It's for the cause. Keep on going. Because if the data is, again, from a confined and constricted group of people, it's not going to be applicable data to such a large group. Really taking, again, Ms. Stewart's presentation, for instance, there's so many different types of students and people on campus. It's not just freshmen, it's not just sophomores, it's not just people who attended college for 4 years. We have people who went to community college and then transferred over. I actually lived out of state, even though I'm considered an in-state individual. So there's many different types of people. So I just sort of wanted to finish out with that, especially as we're coming to a close. So thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Megan. And I apologize for almost passing over you. I'm going to get better at that. So we will now move into our current orders from the evening, and we will begin with PSSB 21040501, written and presented by Mr. Graf Sullivan.
Sullivan, Engineering. I ask for approval of the following: Anne Marie Dockstader, College of Education Schools Council President; Emily Ann Bouchain, College of Education Schools Council Vice President. This is just, I move to pass this bill as written.
Are there any seconds? Thank you. Let's always wait for that one. Is there any debate? Seeing that there is no debate, we will now move into a vote. And we're going to do what we did last week. So all those in favor, please say aye and comment yes. Aye. All those opposed, please say no and comment no. The ayes have it, and the bill is passed as written. We will now move into our future orders of business, beginning with PSSB 2104-1201, presented and written by Megan Starling.
Starling, School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences. Okay, so this bill is, I ask for approval of the following. Wow, I don't have my glasses on, you guys. Let me pull this up real quick.
I can read it for you.
Yeah, please do.
With the exception of gimmicks, all campaign material must contain the candidate's name, voting date, and position sought. The approved logo or design must be consistent on all campaign materials and specific to the candidate.
Okay, sorry guys. Yes, so what that pretty much is saying, we're trying to omit the requirement of printing the logo on the campaign material. This was discussed with Mary Kate, the Executive Director of Elections, so it's not just blindsiding them. This is in the hopes to make it easier on the Elections Board and getting, tons of, reports of there not being a logo on material when really it was just a mishap on the printers. And so we just want to remove that requirement, and there will be an accountability required just because candidates have to send in their itemized receipt, so the printer name will be known so that you don't have people printing from the school. So if you have any questions on that, just contact me this next week and I'll answer those questions.
I would also like to note, I believe a period needs to finish that last sentence. All right, thank you so much. Is there any questions? Oh yeah, do I need a motion to add a period? I mean, it's,
Yes, you can motion.
all right.
I motion to make an edit to this bill. Yeah, I think it might have just been copied and pasted wrong.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, then we are fine. It still will need to be on this bill though. We'll fix it, we're all good. We're all good. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. With that, we're going to move into the second future order of the evening, which is PSSB 2104-1202, presented and written by, once again, Megan Starling.
Okay, so for this, I ask for approval of the following. James Treadwell, School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences, Schools Council President. This is self-explanatory. Our Schools Council President position has been appointed to James Treadwell, who was our senator last term. So we're just looking for confirmation on that. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Are there any questions? All right, thank you, Megan. All right, is everyone ready? I will now be presenting the third order of the evening, PSSB 2104-1203, written by Graf Sullivan from the College of Engineering.
I ask for approval of the following. Alan Lee, Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs. Franny Gorham, Assistant Vice President of Athletics. Lauren Malone, Assistant Vice President of Campus Life. Peyton Billingsley, Assistant Vice President of University Operations. Jake Darling, Assistant Vice President of Finance. Ellis Sharp, Assistant Vice President of Auburn Rings. Jordan Branchman, Assistant Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Abby Ronson, Assistant Vice President of External Affairs. Jordan Fluker, Assistant Vice President of Feedback and Assessment. Preston Evans, Assistant Vice President of Outreach Programs. Emmeline Jones, Assistant Vice President of Media Operations. Amy Beeson, Assistant Vice President of Communications and Marketing. William Tapscott, Assistant Vice President of Cabinet Administration. Mary Kate Hillis, Executive Director of Elections. Mary Kate Saville, Executive Director of Schools Council. This is a confirmation bill for all of our amazing Assistant Vice Presidents. The AVPs have been hard at work already, so this is just kind of formally checking them in, making sure that they're approved. So please, Cole will be sending out the SGA roster with this week's Senate materials. So please go back and check. If you know anybody, make sure the names are spelled right. This was a lot of names. There's about to be a whole heck of a lot more. So please go behind me and check to make sure all the names are right, the positions are right, because it is important that, just for consistency and clarity's sake, that it gets passed cleanly, but it's going to take a couple sets of eyes.
Yes, and as I ask if there are any questions, I would like to reiterate Graf's point of making sure you guys, if you could, just take a glance through and make sure that we are spelling everyone's names correctly. That is y'all's job as senators. But in terms of their appointments, I feel like I should just say I spent so many hours alongside Rhett and Stephen and Michael and Claudia and Tyler, and I can say with full confidence that we have selected the best individuals for these positions. With that, we will move on to the next future order, PSSB 2104-1204, presented and written by Mr. Graf Sullivan.
I ask for approval of the following. Kelsey Green, Director of Auburn. Mary Frances Moore, Director of Albee. Lauren Short, Director of Albee. Bailey Sneed, Director of Albee. Maggie Daniel, Director of Freshman Forum. John David Barnett, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum. Rhett Block, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum. Corey Akins, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum. Helen Ann Herndon, Director of Recruitment. Coleman Morris, Director of Recruitment. Richmond Maddox, Director of External Communication. Braxton Rich, Director of External Communication. Georgia Mock, Director of Internal Communication. Campbell Govion, Director of Internal Communication. Betsy Taunton, Director of Photography. Vivianne Stabler, Director of Photography. Laurie Wakefield, Director of Photography. Jillian Darty, Director of Social Media. Ellie Harrer, Director of Social Media. Keith McNeil, Director of Videography. Charles Scott, Director of Videography. Bertie Natoli, Director of Videography. William Watts, Director of Web Development. Allie Sizemore, Director of Auburn Rings. Payne Thrift, Director of Auburn Rings. Joshua Quattlebaum, Director of Auburn Rings. Rebecca Love, Director of Auburn Rings. Maggie McDuffa, Director of Auburn Rings. Kinsley Brewis, Director of Auburn Rings. Rohan Sen, Director of Financial Products. Miller King, Director of Financial Products. Mary Kate Stanford, Director of Financial Products. Annie Teehee, Director of Financial Projects. Kylie Sefrin, Director of Academic Initiatives. Olivia Zellner, Director of Academic Initiatives. Ivan Glavtov, Director of Academic Initiatives. Fisher Rossman, Director of Athletics.
Covered in class does not line up with what's being asked on the exams, then myself and the department head could sit down and go over the exams and go over the information that's being provided in class and make sure that those things are in alignment. And so that's a great example of constructive feedback or real change that can happen to make teaching better. And I would also say, and this is where we need your help to work with the student body, that these evaluations of teaching are taken very seriously at Auburn. It is not a black hole. And a lot of times I think it feels that way to students because let's say you do make some recommendations about a faculty member in a particular class. Well, chances are you're not going to take that class again from that faculty member. So you don't know whether or not they made changes to that class or not. And it could be that the information that you provided was really good, quality, constructive information. And that professor took it to heart and made changes in their class. But you don't know that because you're not taking that class again. And so in that sense, sometimes I get the perspective that students get frustrated and they feel like, why am I going to fill this survey out? Why am I going to provide this constructive feedback when it may not even be used? And what I would say to that is, having talked to faculty all across campus, the vast majority of faculty at Auburn care about teaching and they care about the experience that students have in the classroom. And so that's a big part of Auburn University and what makes it successful. And so I would really encourage you to work with your constituents as well and help us get the word out about not only how important it is for participation in student evaluations of teaching, but also the type of information that's being provided, because it needs to be usable when it comes to making changes to a specific class.
Thank you so much, Dr. Martin. Oh, my apologies. Thank you so much, Dr. Martin. If everyone would like to give him a round of applause. In lieu of questions, we actually do have some compiled from one of our committees, but that's something that I'm going to relay through an email a little bit later for your sake of time and for ours. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, that's it. And thank you so much for allowing me to talk. And again, if I can be a resource for anybody in this group, just shoot me an email. You can find my email on Auburn's website, and War Eagle.
War Eagle, thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Now that Dr. Martin's presentation has concluded, we will resume with the executive reports, starting with Mr. Stephen Sadie.
Really brief report for me. Tomorrow we've got Eric Smith coming. Talked about it last week. He's a financial literacy coach. He's coming at 3 p.m. So if you can hop on that Zoom even for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, please do. Just like give us a little feedback. Give us any questions that you have, because he's coming, a couple times a year, so that'd be really beneficial for us. If you need that registration link, just reach out to me. You can just look it up. I just looked up basically like Auburn Financial Literacy Coach Eric Smith, and you should be able to find out where you can register for it. But awesome.
Thank you, Stephen. Mr. Thomas.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank y'all for the feedback that y'all did compile for Dr. Martin. He's really been a great resource in that area, and I want to encourage y'all to continue thinking about ways that we can promote that. In regards to facilities, I have a couple things. If you haven't seen, the Village Residence Halls, Eagle and Tiger, are both being renamed after Bessie Mae Holloway and Josetta Britton Matthews. And so those ceremonies will be this week and next week. As well as this past week, the NPHC Legacy Plaza received their notice to proceed, and the scheduled completion date is August 16th, 21. So that's exciting. And then moving forward, the late night option will be next Thursday. So make sure that y'all come out and support that. We need all the help we can to promote that and continue that as an operation, moving forward. And then also, in regards to safety, we received word from staff in the safety department who spoke on the fact that they are planning to have primarily in-person classes in the fall and primarily full classes. But sentinel testing will continue and masks will still be worn inside despite the state mandate. And that's all I got. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. In lieu of Molly Boudreau's presentation, Mr. Jordan will be presenting in her stead.
Hey everybody, I'm Jordan Fluker and I'm serving as the AVP of Feedback and Assessment this year in Cabinet pending Senate confirmation. Molly apologizes for being out today, she's sick. The first listening tour will be done this week with Spectrum. Reminder to fill out the research request form that's on AU Involved for any surveys or anything that you guys need regarding research. And old Auburn Answers submissions and polls are now on Auburn Answers. And I'll get started with the boot camp. So this boot camp is about leading questions. Leading questions pretty much in a survey communicate a bias, so we kind of want to stay away from those. So this is kind of to show you how to fix questions that you have that could be a leading question. So you can go to the next slide. So yeah, this prompts or encourages a desired behavior. Next slide, please. So there are different types of leading questions. The first is leading questions based on assumptions, and these questions communicate a bias. So if you go to the next slide, here's an example question. This question says, how much do you dislike the wait time at Chick-fil-A? So this question pretty much makes the responder go ahead and think of why they dislike the line at Chick-fil-A. So when we're doing questions, we want to make sure that we stay away from trying to make the responder respond a certain way. Next slide. And a better way to write this question is to say, what is your opinion of the wait time at Chick-fil-A? And then let them decide what they feel about the line. There's also coercive leading questions, and these questions force responders to answer in a certain way. So an example question would be like, you enjoy the food from Chick-fil-A, don't you? This makes a responder pretty much say that they enjoy the food at Chick-fil-A because that's what the question asked them, and that's how they feel they should respond. So a better way to ask this question, if you go to the next slide, is to say, how do you feel about the quality of the food from Chick-fil-A? And then let them put how they feel about it, if they're satisfied, highly satisfied, or if they're dissatisfied. Lastly, just to make sure y'all know to use the research request form on AU Involve. Know it's going to take us about 3 weeks to get the results and have a draft of your questions when you submit a research request form so that we can help you fix them and get that survey out as soon as possible. Does anybody have any questions for me? And if not, thank you for letting me have this time.
Thank you, Jordan. Just to reiterate, one more time, I want to let everyone be aware that these boot camps are sent out every single week in my recap emails. And of course, I think what I can do is maybe potentially just combine all of them. But huge resources, phenomenal. And I've seen some of these questions be asked and some of these potential questions that have been sent my way when I've been CC'd. And I'd just like to have those thoughts in mind, really trying to remain impartial and unbiased in those questions we're asking, because that just is going to increase our validity with administrators. So that concludes our reports from our officers. And now we are going to move into reports from our colleges, beginning with the College of At-Large, or the At-Large College.
Haston at large. Just wanted to relay some campus organization info. The ISO World Fair is on Tuesday at 4 on the campus green, and UPC is airing Endgame at Jordan Hare on Thursday at 7. So that's about all we've got. Thanks.
The College of Agriculture.
Morgan, oh, it's really loud, so sorry. Morgan Agriculture, most of the student feedback from this week was just on end of semester reviews, but I will say no one that I spoke with knew about the late night option for dining, so they know now, but it's not well known yet.
Thank you. The College of Business.
Sadie, oh gosh. Sadie Business.
So we reached out to the assistant dean, Jennifer Mueller, about getting a vending machine in HHH. And we also asked about getting dibs in the study rooms, that they could be business major specific. And they responded that they are working right now on the dibs, and they want to make it similar to the engineering, where only business students can reserve the study rooms and have it for that set time. And she also contacted the VP operations about vending machines, and we are working on the feasibility of it and the plausibility of it. So these are in the works.
Thank you. CAD-C.
Harris, CADC. We have established meetings with our associate dean, who's our official advisor for schools counselor for CADC, so that's really exciting. We're starting to make plans, and we're planning an event. We were aiming for the end of the semester, but due to finances and COVID, we don't really foresee that happening, so we're aiming for a big welcome week event, which is typically done, so we're looking forward to that.
Thank you. COSAM.
Nyack, COSAM. Good evening. Hopefully everyone had a nice Easter weekend. So I have a few things on the agenda that I'd like to talk about. So first and foremost, registration season is upon us, and so I have been, well, it's coming soon, pretty soon. I've been in contact with our counselors, and COSAM specifically, we have a little less turnover for this year than prior, and most people are saying that it's from COVID, and so I'm getting that a little more confirmed as we speak. Other than that, Carter and I have started, obviously our consistent office hours, and slowly, ever so slowly, but surely, we're getting some people trickle in and getting some inquiries. So a lot of people are really just confused about where they can find their peer advisors, how they can find them, and frankly, what a peer advisor is when it comes to making their schedules look picture perfect when it comes time to sit down and talk to their counselors. So kind of some of that clarification, maybe on our front when it comes to social media or just in general talking to their counselors would be, beneficial. Now, in student affair news, parking-wise, talking to JD and Jabin, we have kind of come to the conclusion that the parking app might need some sort of a, facelift. It, to say the least, is a little janky, and so having, a nice interface for our students and constituents to use would be really, really helpful. Something, very reminiscent of the Get app. I really like the interface in that, and, with the amount of usage that it does get, they obviously need to put a good amount of time into it. So if we can get some metrics on that and see if we can have some more effort poured into the interface, I think we could see a good yield when it comes on that front. That's pretty much all I got for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. Education.
Dodd Education, so this week we focused on spreading the word of late night dining again, and then we also gathered feedback from students in education on addressing the issues with professors using lockdown browsers that students are having to pay for in mid-semester reviews.
Thank you. Engineering.
Lock engineering. So just a recap for our town hall, it went extremely well. Looking into getting more feedback on different dining options in Cafe 35 and making sure in the fall that it reverts back to the kind of deli feature that it had pre-COVID. New vending machine in BK. We gave feedback to engineering facilities about some of the labs, and I don't know how this is for other colleges. Maybe it's something that y'all could be looking into too, especially as we approach finals week. A lot of labs computers right now are locked for COVID in the fall, but then as restrictions have eased up, they haven't actually went back and unlocked them. So got in touch with our facilities guide, and all those labs are starting to get open back up. And then Engineering Spirit Week is next week. That's it.
Everyone in front of me, I should have utilized that time. You can go take a bathroom break, or we could, what's that, Stephen? Honestly, yeah, we could go ahead and do exec reports if you guys would enjoy that. Great use of time, Stephen. I know you all want to hear about my Easter. I know you do. But instead, Stephen is going to speak. No exec reports? We have 12 minutes until Dr. Martin presents. So I thought, why not go ahead and... Oh, they're taking pictures. Okay, yeah, honestly, y'all can take a bathroom break. You can take a bathroom break. I don't know if you got one.
Holly.
Hey, did your computer die? Oh.
Happens to the best of us.
Good.
Like, the only reason I'm not getting up and socializing right now is because I hate these shoes.
Get it on the back. I can never.
They're also just like on this floor. Like I'm literally about to like slide that. Yeah. So that's fun. I take very small steps.
Got it.
I had everyone's attention. I should have used it. Jet, come down by us.
Like, okay. I'm gonna get that for you. Thank you.
I shed a lot.
If you're from Florida, huh?
Oh yeah, she's fine. Her car. Okay, so she's a really good student. So every time it's broken like 3 times this whole life. And every time it's based on her feelings to come here and take it to me.
Jordan, are you doing Molly's report?
To see what's wrong with her. Just to take it somewhere.
Come to work.
Bang that thing.
Wait, that doesn't have a good. Wait, don't pretend.
Sorry, no, just practicing. Good evening. If everyone can make their way back to their seats, sit down in a comfortable position, upright, turn on your laptops, join the Zoom if you have not. I'm admitting everyone currently. And then please have your cameras on, yourselves muted, your computers muted, and be ready in about 1 minute to listen to Dr. Martin speak on evaluations. I just listened to the same one in cabinet and it was very good. And just like with Professor Cornett, please give him your attention. Some of you guys should add profile pictures. Brandon, you don't have one. Coleman, you don't have one. Emma Kate, you don't have one. I'm going to rate who has the best one, Ryan Hall. Andrew Sadie doesn't have one. We can take one after if you want. John Davids is phenomenal. You have a great background. Click on participant. Forestry and Wildlife Sciences.
Starling, School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences. Not a lot for me today. First, just our meeting will be this Thursday for Schools Council with our Student Services Director. And my office hours for this past week were canceled. Not unfortunately though, because we had a wellness day, our last one, so we're getting there, guys. And then also, I would like to send a thank you to Senator Sullivan and Vice President Callahan for reaching out to me this week to let me know of some on-campus sites of those bird collisions that I'd talked about so long ago. Feel free to reach out to me as well, any of you who see even if it's just one dead bird. I know we're not at that point of the project right now. We're kind of just finding solutions, but one day we will need to know that, and it'll be best if we know where we need to hit first. And that's all.
Thank you. The Graduate School.
Graduate School, Baron Dan, there in the notes for everyone, we've extended the deadline for outstanding graduate mentor awards. If you know of a graduate student that has been a mentor to you and you'd like to nominate, nominate them, please go to the link provided in the comments or in the chat section and nominate that individual. Last Tuesday, we had our rather lengthy GSC meeting, which we elected all new executive committee members of the Graduate Students Council, and like to extend congratulations to Iluchi Oyikewi as the president, Chindima Adili as the vice president, and Miss Elizabeth DeVore, who is online tonight, as the graduate student senator. That is it.
Thank you, Brian. And Ms. DeVore, we look forward to having you as our new graduate senator. Human Sciences.
Williams, Human Sciences. On the feedback side of things, a lot of people said that this wellness day, like our past wellness day, was better than the previous ones. They felt like they could actually rest. Of course, we still had some people who felt that they had tests the next day, they had to catch up on things, but I feel like the overwhelming majority thought that this wellness day was better than the previous two. Like some other senators have been saying, no one has really known about late night dining, so I tried to tell them about it. There were some of my classmates who were upset because our teacher hasn't been there, and she's just been sending the TA to teach classes without really telling anyone, so I used that as an opportunity to plug end of year reviews, and they just thought that the data wasn't really used. So now I can go back and tell them that the data is actually used as long as it's constructive. In the human sciences world, the fashion event, which is Consumer and Design Sciences, which is my department of human sciences, is the premier event. It's on April 9th, so Friday. So if you'd like to come out or view virtually, we would really appreciate it. All of the work is designed by students and the models are all students. It's a really great time. And we are trying to revamp the mentoring program because we feel like the ball was kind of dropped this year with mentoring within human sciences when the freshmen really needed it. So we want to do better next year.
Thank you. Liberal arts.
McElroy, liberal arts. Ooh. The College of Liberal Arts will be hosting a registration room for students with issues registering from the 5th to the 14th. And then we'll have professional headshots again the 7th. That'll be 9 to 11.
Thank you. Nursing.
Sefton, nursing. Hey guys, so last week we talked about establishing our QR code, and this week we worked on getting that put on the screens in our building. We're also coordinating the t-shirt orders. We have t-shirts and sweatshirts that say Auburn Nursing on them. So we're working towards getting a new order for that for all of our new students that just got admitted. And that's just about it.
Thank you, Mary Logan. Pharmacy.
Nice Pharmacy. So this week I've been working with our student council president as well as several of our deans and administrators to figure out the best way to get student feedback on how we're going to adjust to full-time classes in the fall. And we're trying to decide if we want to do an end of semester survey or just a separate survey, because we don't want to give false expectations for online and in person, but we do want to make that transition as easy as possible. And I'm also working with Senator Lisenby on collecting a list of pharmacy students who have aided in COVID testing and or vaccination efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vet Med.
Lauren, Vet Med. So I haven't really been getting the response that I want. So I'm going to use a little bribery also as an end of the year treat. This week I ordered little fun-sized Skittles, and I'm going to put those with a little greeting attached to them in our students' mailboxes. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. I love that idea. That will conclude our college reports, and from here we will move into our standing committee reports, and that will begin with academic affairs.
McElroy, liberal arts. So this week in academic affairs, we've had a lot going on. We're continuing to build a survey and collect professor feedback for our Canvas calendar initiative. We met with the academic affairs portion of cabinet to discuss a rentable laptop program. We've continued to compile feedback about mid-semester reviews, and then we've also been getting some feedback about end-of-semester reviews for Dr. Martin. Senator Dodd gave some information about our lockdown browsers initiative in the GroupMe, and we'd greatly appreciate any additional feedback that y'all give us. And then last but not least, we finally have a draft of our consistency and accountability with modalities resolution for the fall 2021 semester, and we hope to bring it to the floor next week.
Thank you. Budget and Finance.
Lisenby at large. So we sent our initial email to all of the SAPs this morning, which was really exciting, and then all of my committee members had a chance to email and connect with the student financial reps of each student activity organization. And then Senator Sefton and I started on the nursing commendation to thank the Auburn University School of Nursing and those students for providing opportunities for the nursing students to be able to serve our community and university and keeping us safe. And then also have been communicating with Senator Denise on getting a list of the pharmacy students that should also be thanked for their work in the COVID relief.
Thank you. Code of Laws.
Mathner, Education. Senator Turnipseed is still working on the timeline. Again, kind of a lengthy process, but she's doing a really great job with that. We had another meeting with Mary Kate Hillis, the EVP of Elections, and Senators Turnipseed and Belser were both able to attend that with me. And we just kind of went more in depth about some of the changes that we're looking to make with election law. A lot of these changes are kind of minor that are just going to allow for loopholes to be avoided and like result in less violations, which is easier on elections council and the whole elections team during campaign week. And then some of them are kind of more major changes that we're going to look into and continue gathering research and feedback with those. And with that, Senator Starling tonight will be presenting a future order that's kind of one of those minor changes, and she'll be able to go into more detail about that. And then lastly, Senator Starling and McDonald have began the process of reformatting the schools council chapter within the code. And this will be implementing the absence policy that we've looked at and talked to Mary Kate Saville about. And then it will also be implementing the definition of the executive director of schools council.
Thank you. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Belser, oh, wow, sorry y'all. That's really loud. Belser, Liberal Arts. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, y'all. So not much for me this week. Senator Justin reached out and was very interested in working on the diversity report, which is basically just, it profiles the demographics of everybody in cabinet and Senate, all of our branches, and sort of sees how that looks against the entire university at large. So that's a really interesting thing. We haven't done that since 2017. I know that SGA exec is also really interested in that as well. We have a few research requests that have been put out, one by Senator Neese, so I'd like to commend her on that. And hopefully we'll have a few bills coming through committee and being introduced as future orders next week, including a resolution on racial injustice, a clarification on Miss Auburn and Miss Homecoming, and a definition for liaisons. But that's all I have.
Thank you. Student Affairs.
Matthews at large. Thank you all to all you who are telling people about late night dining. And just to correct Michael, I think he misspoke and said it's next Thursday. It is this Thursday, 8th, 9th, and 10th. That's Thursday through Saturday. Dining will have us a graphic that I'll send in the GroupMe or give to Cole to post, or to send in the email for recaps soon, for y'all to post on Instagram or whatever, just to spread the word. Again, the 3 goals for this trial period that's going to last through the end of school is just usage, safety, and cleanliness. Also, Riley is working with Period at Auburn with the goal of having menstrual products in bathrooms throughout campus. Riley and I are trying to make this an exec goal, as we feel it's pertinent and attainable and best achievable if we get exec and cabinet as well as with us in Senate to have this a success. That's all I have for this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, the Executive Committee.
Sullivan, Engineering. So as always, office hours, I'll be closing that form whenever I go home this evening. So if you've not submitted your office hours for this past week, please go ahead and do so. The link is in the group chat and also in an email I sent out. Synod Exec will be meeting this Friday morning at 7:45 a.m. Reminder, you are required to attend at least one per semester. We will only be having 2 more Synod Execs after this week. So you run out of time if you have not done so yet. On that note, like I said, we only have 2 more Synod Execs, or 2 more Synod Execs after this week, which means anything you would like passed without moving forward, without moving it from a current to a future order, or from a future to a current order, excuse me, needs to be passed through Synod Exec this Friday, which means it needs to be ready by your committee meeting this week. So please keep that in mind as you're working on bills. Summer Senate. I know if some of you were at Exec this week, you've heard we will be having Summer Senate. We will be meeting once a month. It'll actually be on a Tuesday to line up with Cabinet, so that'll be a little bit different. So with 3 Senate meetings, you can also expect 3 committee meetings the week before each of those Senates. I'm really just going to try to make sure we don't lose any steam, anything that we need passed before next fall. We don't want to rush it in the next couple weeks. That way we can still get some legislation out. I'll also say that as Senator Baratine briefly touched on, we have found a new graduate school senator. So will you all please join me in giving Mr. Brian Baratine a round of applause. As a thank you for his service, both last term and early on in this term. His presence will be greatly missed, and I, look forward to, seeing what he does in the future. And then one last thing, in all of the chaos and time changing of the beginning of this meeting, we forgot to read and approve the minutes. So